India has a diverse tradition in martial arts. Saitama Jaipuria School realizes that self-defense training not only empowers students to protect themselves, but also those around them. The school provides us with martial arts training and has always encouraged us to learn self-defense. With that, let us witness a captivating martial arts performance. कविता वह सुरंग है जिसके माध्यम से मनुष्य एक विश्व को छोड़कर दूसरे विश्व में प्रवेश करता है। कविता बहुत महत्वपूर्ण है क्योंकि वो हमें अपने आसपास की दुनिया को समझने और उसकी सराहना करने में सहायता करती है। कविता हमें जीना सिखाती है। अब आपके समक्ष प्रस्तुत है एक अंग्रेजी कविता जो रची है कक्षा 8 नवसृजन की रिया भंडारी, साक्षी गुप्ता, सृष्टि शर्मा और इच्छा सिंह ने। और आपके समक्ष ये कविता प्रस्तुत करेंगी नवसृजन कक्षा 8 की इच्छा सिंह।
Good morning. Today, I, Icha Singh, stand here to present a self-composed poem on the topic I am a proud Indian. This poetry is a joint effort of Riya, Shrishti, Sakshi and me. I am an Indian. I am strong and mighty. I am an Indian. My country has peace and prosperity. I am an Indian. Indeed, my diverse land is one in a million. We are flourishing. Whether it's the field of science, medicine or agriculture, we have spread our wings in space, defense, Olympics and infrastructure. Bhaskara 1 was launched with grace. Sare jahan se acha, said Rakesh Sharma from space. How could we leave the red planet out of sight? Mangalyaan was ready in India to set its light. Our doctors made us proud when the world hit COVID and they developed vaccines throughout. Let us not forget our national heroes and noble souls who aimed for freedom as a goal. Their hands are precious and bold, their minds clear aiming for gold. From Abhinav Bindra to Neeraj Chopra, from P.V. Sindhu to Mirabai Chanu, we have proved ourselves in Olympics. Indeed, we are also champions in Paralympics. Let us be noble with our ideas and thoughts content. We are proud to have Draupadi Murmu as our president. We have joined together as many and diverse expressions. My country, India, my country is indeed a proof of enormous diversification. I am lucky to witness the India of today, but still there are several stars who are a walk away. So let us clean our hearts for each other and prove the aspects of divine personality, wisdom, strength, harmony and perfection to abide by. Practice these values and reflection will come upon thy. Practice patience, love and tolerance, as this is the real meaning of independence. Thank you.
आप सभी को आज़ादी के इस अमृत महोत्सव की हार्दिक शुभकामनाएं। मैं कोमल आप सभी के समक्ष अपनी स्वरचित कविता प्रस्तुत करने वाली हूँ। एक ऐसे देश का नाम है भारत, साहस शौर्य दृढ़ संकल्पता विहसते, जिसके रंग हैं अनेक। आज है आज़ादी का अमृत महोत्सव, झूमो नाचो गाओ खुशियाँ मनाओ, स्वतंत्रता दिवस आया है। इस देश की डोर में है इतना जोर, सफलता प्रगति उन्नति खींची चली आई इसकी ओर। इस देश में ना है कोई मतभेद, हर धर्म संप्रदाय के लोगों का है यहाँ मेल। अपने अपने अंतर मन में देश प्रेम की लौ जगाते, उत्साहपूर्ण हर्षित मन से यह दिवस मनाते। बलिदान की गाथा अमर, स्वतंत्रता का यह वंदन है। यह मात्र एक देश नहीं, एक चंदन सम महकता सुगंधित परिवार है। अपने अपने दिलों में लोगों के लिए प्रेम ज्योति जगाते, वैदिक काल से यात्रा सुनहरी, कठिनाइयों को करते हम हंसकर पार। हर सुबह जीवन में सफलता का करते निर्माण, करते हैं नमन उन वीरों को जो है सरहद पर खड़े, जिनके शहीद होने पर उनके बाल बच्चों की आंखों से टपकते आंसू बड़े बड़े। करते हैं नमन उस किसान को जो हमें भोजन कराता है, नहीं लेता कभी अवकाश, अपितु विश्राम करने पर दर्द से कराता है। गंगा जमुनी की चिरकालीन सभ्यता है हमारी, हम ही तो विश्व गुरु कहलाए हैं। वसुदेव कुटुंबकम संसार एक परिवार है, साथ में उन्नति कर सपने होंगे साकार। कला साहित्य शिक्षा व्यापार की उन्नति, मनुसंतति भाषा संस्कृति अर्थव्यवस्था रक्षा सेना, विकासशीलता की जय जयकार आज है गूंजित। एक ऐसा देश है जिसका नाम है भारत, साहस शौर्य दृढ़ संकल्पता विहसते, जिसके रंग हैं अनेक। जय हिंद। धन्यवाद।
Thank you, Komal, for your heartwarming words. One of the most important personalities who has defined our school's philosophy is Sri Aurobindo. Born Aurobindo Ghosh, he played a significant role in the freedom struggle. Sri Aurobindo looked at the concept of freedom first through the eyes of a revolutionary political leader who was also a poet, and later through the eyes of the mystic and spiritual master that he became. What does freedom truly mean? How can it be realized for the individual and the collective life of a nation? How do we strike the right balance between individual freedom and the collective interests of a society or nation? Why does the struggle for freedom, fueled by brave and inspiring words, so often end up in bloodshed and a new kind of tyranny? Coming up now, we have a skit on the life of Sri Aurobindo and his role in the struggle for independence.
We celebrate two important events in the history of the world. The 75th year of India's independence, Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, and the 150th birth anniversary of Sri Aurobindo, one of the greatest rishis of Bharat Mata. What a spiritual coincidence. These two events have fallen on the same day, surely with the sanction and seal of divine power. Sri Aurobindo has clearly said, Mother India is not a piece of earth. She is a power, a godhead. In what better way can we celebrate this day than by hearing the story of Sri Aurobindo's life pertaining to Mother India?
Sri Aurobindo was born in Calcutta to a doctor named Krishnadhan Ghosh and Swarnalata Devi. They had two sons, Binoy Bhushan and Manmohan. On 15th August 1872, they were blessed with another male child. They named him Aurobindo, meaning lotus. Dr. Krishnadhan Ghosh was completely enamored by the British way of life, and he sent Sri Aurobindo to Manchester, later London, and finally to Cambridge for higher education. Dr. Ghosh kept him at a far distance from his own mother tongue and the spiritual culture of India. Yet, at around the age of 19, Aurobindo Ghosh came to know of the atrocities of the British on Indians. During this period, he also joined a revolutionary society, Lotus and Dagger in the UK. And he took a silent oath within to fight for the freedom of his motherland. Sri Aurobindo cleared the imperial civil service to fulfill his father's wish, but deliberately absented himself from the horse riding test because he did not want to serve the British. After completing his higher education from King's College, Cambridge, young Aurobindo returned to India in 1893 at the age of 21. Mother India welcomed her son with a stupendous experience. In Sri Aurobindo's own words, a vast calm descended upon me the moment I stepped foot on Indian soil.
Oh my country, how peaceful is it?
He worked for the next 13 years in the princely state of Baroda, in the service of Maharaja and as a professor in Baroda College. He also joined a secret society and took a leading role in the secret preparations for an uprising against the British rule in India.
Dear friends, our motherland, Bhavani Bharti, has been imprisoned. We need to break her shackles and release her from this slavery.
How can a tiny country like Britain exert so much control over a vast country like India? I wish we could just throw them out. They reek of injustice.
Yes, brother, that is the spirit. India needs a revolution. Nothing less will do. Keep the fire alive in your hearts. We shall need it to light the torches and destroy them. The British must leave. The British must leave.
In 1905, the British, following their divide and rule policy, decided to partition Bengal into East and West Bengal. East Bengal later became Bangladesh. This filled the Indians, particularly the Bengalis, with indignation. Sri Aurobindo took this opportunity to give up the Baroda service, shift to Calcutta, and join openly in the political movement, where he soon became one of the leaders of the nationalistic movement.
Vande Mataram.
The area of Bengal
Vande
is too
Mataram.
small. It is exceedingly difficult for us to keep a control over these hooligans. We must divide them. Take up the agenda of religion. That is the Achilles heel. This will weaken their nationalistic power. Vande Mataram.
Vande Mataram.
Come along, Sergeant.
Vande Mataram. Vande Mataram.
It is a strange idea, a foolish idea, to think that a nation which has been called upon by the voice of God to rise will be stopped by mere physical repression. A storm has swept over us today. But this has come as a blessing in disguise. We are iron upon his anvil, and the blows he is showering upon us are not to destroy, but to recreate, so that we may be molded in a mighty nation and can act as an instrument for his work in the world. Without suffering, there can be no growth.
One night as he slept, Sri Aurobindo felt a heavy hand on his chest. He woke up and saw Goddess Kali before him.
Oh child, I am the mother of the Bharatiyas, people immersed in love. You are the eternal people, beloved of God. Neither fate, nor time, nor death can destroy them. I, the mother, call all of you as my children. Shake off your slumber and work for the liberation of your motherland.
Ma Kali showed Sri Aurobindo visions in which Indians were defeating the foreign force. And then the awe-inspiring form of Ma Kali got transformed into the beautiful goddess Savitri. In front of the young man was a vision of future India, filled with prosperity, coupled with Vedic culture, flourishing all over. Sri Aurobindo started infusing Indians with a never-before zeal through his writings in the daily newspaper Bande Mataram. An editor of the Statesman once complained,
This daily newspaper, Bande Matram, reeks of sedition, potentially visible in almost every line. But such is the skill of Sri Aurobindo's writing that no legal action can be taken against him, how so hard we may try.
once, while addressing the students of National College, Calcutta, Sri Aurobindo said,
My dear students, there are times in our nation's history when Providence places before it one work, one aim to which anything else, however high or noble, is to be sacrificed. Such a time has now come in the history of India when there is nothing greater to her service, when everything else is to be directed to that end. If you will study, study for her sake. Train yourselves, body and mind and soul, for her service. You may go up with which you may do service to her. Suffer so that she may rejoice. Work so that she may prosper. All is contained in that one single advice. Friends, brothers and sisters, there is no time like now. Now is the time to rise for the service of your nation. Vande Mataram! Vande Mataram! Ah, the sweet melody. Vande Mataram! Vande Mataram! It infuses the heart with a sense of love and glory like never before. Vande Mataram! Vande Mataram! From now on, this will be the mantra of nationalism.
Sri Aurobindo, through his newspaper Bande Mataram, along with Bal Gangadhar Tilak, through his newspaper Kesari, were the first political leaders in India to openly demand complete independence, Purna Swaraj for the country.
I bow to the mother. Even if an alien rule is benevolent, it is no substitute for freedom. Everything that you can see around, the stagnation or slow progress, the economic dependence, the poverty, crippled industries, are all the evil results of foreign rule. We were able and capable rulers of Mahabharati before they came, and we shall govern it perfectly even today. The British must leave. Vande Mataram. Vande Mataram. Vande Mataram.
On April 30, 1908, at Muzaffarpur, there was an attempt to throw a bomb at the district magistrate. Sri Aurobindo was accused by the British, though he had no hand in it and was locked into solitary confinement. The solitary cell was 9 feet long and 5 feet in width. It had no windows. He was given one bowl, which he had to use for ablution, and the same bowl had to be used for his food and water. Such were the atrocities of the British on our beloved freedom fighters. There were red ants in that room. But all these hardships only shook Sri Aurobindo towards an even deeper love for his Bhavani Bharatis. These atrocities only strengthened his conviction to free his beloved motherland. One day, Dr. Daly, the chief medical officer of the jail, visited Sri Aurobindo.
You seldom speak, Mr. Ghosh. You will be happy to know that I have managed to get permission from the higher authorities for you to walk outside your cell, morning and evening. Come.
During his solitary confinement, Sri Aurobindo had constant visions of Sri Krishna. Sri Krishna handed a Bhagavad Gita to Sri Aurobindo and he blessed him. Sri Aurobindo did the sadhana of the Bhagavad Gita with Sri Krishna as his guide. Sri Krishna explained the deeper nuances of the Bhagavad Gita to him. Sri Aurobindo would walk in the mornings and the evenings, reciting and meditating on the ageless and powerful mantras of the Upanishads and the Bhagavad Gita.
Sarvam Kalvidam Brahma, truly all is God.
Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma. Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma. Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma. The same soul dwells in all forms of animate and inanimate bodies around us, be it men, birds, animals, or even the walls of this prison. This is no prison. The high walls, the green leaf trees shining in sunlight, all seem to vibrate with a sense of universal consciousness. It seems as if Lord Krishna himself is standing below the tree, playing his flute delightfully. It is Sri Krishna beneath the tree, offering me shade in the form of the branches, just as the bars that confine me. Each one of them are a form of the Lord himself.
Go out and elevate the consciousness of humanity. I will help you and guide you through this work. The independence of Bharat is assured. You have now a greater work to do, which is to raise the consciousness of the world.
During his prison life, Sri Aurobindo had Swami Vivekanand, who had left his body in 1902, spoke to Sri Aurobindo for 15 days. And he gave him the first insight into the plane of intuition as being the first opening to the supermind. It was as if Swami Vivekanand came to hand over the baton of further evolution to Sri Aurobindo. 1 year in prison brought a great change in Sri Aurobindo.
Vasudev has shown me my future course of action. Earlier, I was entitled to work for the freedom of my country. Now, I am commanded to raise the spiritual consciousness of the universe through yoga. Yoga means union with God through jnana, bhakti, karma, and perfection.
Chittaranjan Das, founder of Swaraj Party, senior member of Congress Party, and an eminent advocate, fought the case for Sri Aurobindo and pronounced in the court.
My lord, my appeal to you therefore is that a man like this, who is being charged with the offences imputed to him, stands not only before the bar of this court, but stands before the bar of the High Court of History. And my appeal to you is that long after this controversy is hushed in silence, long after this turmoil, this agitation ceases, long after he is dead and gone, he will be looked upon as the poet of patriotism, as the prophet of nationalism, and the lover of humanity. Long after he is dead and gone, his words will echo and re-echo, not only in India, but across distant seas and lands. Therefore, I say that a man in his position is not only standing before the bar of this court, but before the bar of the High Court of History. That is all, my lord.
The trial began on 19th May 1908 and lasted for a year. After a full year in jail, Sri Aurobindo was released.
This court hereby pronounces Mr. Aurobindo Ghosh not guilty.
His life in prison had completely transformed Sri Aurobindo. After coming out of the jail on May 30th, 1909, he delivered his powerful historical speech at Uttarpara, in which he recalled his divine experience.
I looked at the jail that secluded me from men, and it was no longer by its high walls that I was imprisoned. No, it was Sri Krishna around me. I looked at the bars of my jail that did the very duty of a door, and again I saw Sri Krishna. Or I lay on the coarse blankets and I felt the arms of Sri Krishna around me, the arms of my friend and lover. This was the first use of the deeper vision he gave me. I looked at the prisoners in the jail, the thieves, the murderers, the swindlers, and again I saw Sri Krishna. I saw Narayan in those darkened souls and misused bodies.
Sri Aurobindo then settled down in Pondicherry, where he did his tapasya. For 24 years, he remained in a room doing intense sadhana. In these years, he wrote and wrote, not philosophy, but words emanating from his own spiritual experiences. These 36 volumes can be called, for lack of words, as overhead writings. The Second World War was in full swing in 1941-42. Hitler was marching unopposed in Western Europe. Britain was being bombed continuously. Britain sent Mr. Cripps to India to negotiate a compromise with Indian leaders and ask for their cooperation in the war. The Cripps mission offered 4 proposals to seek India's support during the Second World War.
Dear Indians, thank you for your support and cooperation in the war. Now the time has come where you will start your journey towards managing the administrative affairs of your country. We offer to set up an Indian Dominion state. A constituent assembly will be formed to create a new constitution for the country. Any province unwilling to join the Indian Dominion may form a separate union and have a different constitution. Until the new constitution comes into the force, India's defense will be managed by the British. Thank you.
Sri Aurobindo, who had ceased political activities in 1910 and withdrawn from the public's eye from 1926 onwards, came out publicly in support of Cripps' mission proposal. On the very next day, after Cripps' broadcast on All India Radio, Sri Aurobindo sent a telegram and simultaneously he sent Sri Durai Swami Iyer with a letter to Indian National Congress with an advice to accept the Cripps proposal.
Durai Swami, please go to Delhi and meet Mahatma Gandhi and Pandit Nehru and hand them my written message and request them to accept the Cripps proposal unconditionally. As you are an advocate, please Gopalachari ji and Dr. B.S. Munje of the Hindu Mahasabha express the need to accept the Cripps proposal for the greater good of the nation.
At Delhi, Durai Swami meets the Indian National Congress leaders, Mahatma Gandhi and Pandit Nehru, and hands them the letter. The Indian National Congress refuses the proposal. He also goes to the Muslim League leader, Mr. Jinnah. Indian National Congress and Muslim League, while refusing Cripps' proposal, ignored Sri Aurobindo's advice. They were not aware of the sublime state of Sri Aurobindo's consciousness. Had his advice been accepted, the partition of India would have never happened. It was not a mere coincidence that India got its independence on 15th August 1947, Sri Aurobindo's birth date. On the eve of independence, Sri Aurobindo was requested to give a message to the nation on All India Radio, and this is what he said.
My fellow men, 15th August 1947 marks the end of an old era and the beginning of a new age. Partition must end. Unity must and will be achieved, for it is necessary for the future greatness of India. The spiritual gift of India to the world has already begun. My final dream was a step in human evolution, which would raise consciousness to a higher and larger level. This is an idea which has begun to take hold in India and in the Western forward-looking mind.
Sri Aurobindo entered Mahasamadhi on 5th December 1950. The mother said, Sri Aurobindo is constantly among us and reveals himself to those who are ready to see and hear him. Sri Aurobindo's presence, guidance, and inspiration continue to resonate in the Earth's atmosphere and motivate the world towards a conscious transformation and evolution. Jai Hind! Now for the end credits. Sri Aurobindo, played by Sarthak Mishra. Krishnadhan Ghosh, played by Amar Rajbhar. Swarnalata Devi, played by Gauri Desai. Young Aurobindo, played by Manish Kumar. Lord Curzon, played by Aryan Ashok. Police official, played by Avinash Srivastav. Goddess Kali, played by Pavni Kesarwani. Goddess Savitri, played by Anushrita Ghosh. Editor and judge, played by Vishesh Kehani. Dr. Daly, played by Mrityunjay Nayak. Krishna, played by Shlok Verma. Swami Vivekanand, played by Sumanyu Srivastav. Siyar Das, played by Rayan Ali Siddiqui. Stafford Cripps, played by Sanskar Podar. Durai Swami Iyer, played by Abhigyan Singh. Mahatma Gandhi, played by Shubh Singh. Pandit Nehru, played by Aman Bhargav. M.A. Jinnah, played by Pratyush Bhardwaj. And the mob, played by Ridhima Agarwal, Reva Tripathi, Mrityunjay Nayak, Sanvi Tandon, Kartikeya Singh, Shambhavi Pandey, Arnav Kanal, Ishan Bose, Aditya Sethi, Anvesha Mishra, Anushka Sharma, and Adi Mishra. And I, Priyamvada Singh.
I, Sukriti Mishra.
And I, Nandini Roy Chaudhary, as the narrator.
The play has been written by our most beloved Vice Chairperson, Anjali Jaipuria ma'am. Can we please have a huge round of applause for her?
Jai